It always starts with just one drink, doesn't it? For me, that one drink was a reward. It was the crisp beer at the end of a long, stressful day that finally quieted the noise in my head. I told myself it was normal, that everyone does it. But that one drink was a lie, a secret I was keeping from myself. And in this video, I'm going to share the red flags I missed as that simple habit slowly and secretly started to ruin my career, my relationships, and my life. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just someone who's been there. 7 years in Alcoholics Anonymous, a 90-day rehab program, and a long journey back to myself. This is my story of how a coping mechanism became a destructive part of my life. Section 1, the habit becomes a perpetual need. It didn't happen in a few days. It was more like a slow fade. In my 20s, drinking was just social, for parties, for celebrations, for having a good time with friends. But somewhere in my 30s, things shifted. The pressure from my career was mounting. Life felt more complicated, and that social lubricant started to feel more like personal medication. It began with that one drink after work. It felt earned, deserved. It was the punctuation mark on a long day. But soon, one drink wasn't quite enough to take the edge off. So, it became 2. Then, it became the bottle of wine I'd opened, telling myself I'd have just one glass, only to somehow finish it without even noticing. I started looking forward to that drink earlier and earlier. That 5 p.m. beer became a 4 p.m. thought, this little itch in the back of my mind. And that's the first red flag, the one that's so easy to ignore. When the want becomes a need, I wasn't drinking to celebrate anymore. I was drinking to feel normal. I was drinking to escape the low-grade hum of anxiety that was my constant companion. I was using alcohol to numb everything, to put a temporary pause on all the stress and worry. But that temporary relief comes at a high price. While it feels like it's helping, alcohol can actually make stress and anxiety much worse over time. My brain literally started to change its own chemistry, convincing me that this was the only way I could ever relax. The habit wasn't a choice anymore. It was a profound compulsion. I was drinking to get away from my feelings instead of learning how to actually deal with them. Section 2, the cracks start to show. For a long time, I was convinced I had it under control. I was what you'd call a high-functioning alcoholic, a term I now realize is a very dangerous illusion. I was still getting to work, still hitting my deadlines, still paying my bill. On the outside, everything looked perfectly fine. But on the inside, and in the small corners of my life, everything was starting to crumble. This is the second red flag, when your responsibilities and relationships start to show cracks. At work, my productivity took a nosedive. I wasn't calling in sick, but I was showing up hungover, foggy, and just running on fumes. My focus was gone. I'd stare at my computer screen for an hour and get nothing done, my brain feeling like it was wrapped in cotton. I'd send emails full of typos, forget key details in meetings. My old drive was just gone. It was replaced by this constant grinding effort just to keep my head above water. While I thought alcohol was my stress reliever, it was actually creating a vicious cycle of more stress and less satisfaction with my own performance. But the real damage was happening at home. My personality changed when I drank. The easygoing guy my wife married became irritable, withdrawn, and emotionally checked out. Important conversations were silenced because I was just gone, sitting on the couch in a fog. Promises I'd made to go for a walk or help with a project just vanished. Intimacy, both emotional and physical, started to fade away. Alcohol was building a wall between us, brick by brick. We started arguing more, usually about the drinking itself, which just made me more defensive and secretive. The trust that holds a relationship together was eroding, and I was too numb to even see how much I was losing. Section 3, hiding and lying. When people you love start to worry, you have a choice. Admit there's a problem, or dig in and hide it even better. I chose to hide. And that leads to the third and maybe the most damaging red flag. When you start living a secret life, I became a master of deception. I'd have a couple of beers with my wife in the evening, but she had no idea about the ones I'd slammed in the car on the way home. I'd hide bottles at the bottom of the recycling bin, burying them under newspapers like I was hiding evidence from a crime scene. I'd go to the store for milk and buy a bottle of vodka on the side, paying for it separately, in cash. The mental gymnastics it took to keep my stories straight were exhausting, and I lied to myself just as much as I lied to everyone else. I only had 2 drinks. I can stop anytime I need to. It's not hurting anyone. These were the things I told myself every day, my shield against a truth that was getting bigger and scarier. My social life started to shrink. I'd duck out of events where I knew I couldn't drink the way I wanted to, or I'd pre-drink before going out so I could keep a buzz without anyone noticing how much I was really putting away. This isolation and the need to hide are classic signs that alcohol has stopped being a choice and has become a tool you can't live without. This whole stage is defined by one feeling: shame. The guilt I felt after a night of heavy drinking was overwhelming. Deep down, I knew this wasn't normal. I knew I was losing control. That shame just fueled the isolation, and the isolation fueled more drinking. It's a cage you build around yourself, and for the longest time, you're holding the key but are just too damn scared to put it in. Section 4. The moment of turning. Every story like this has a bottom. Mine wasn't a big, dramatic moment like a car crash or getting fired. It was a quiet, soul-crushing moment of clarity. I'd come home from work, gone through my whole secret drinking routine, and was standing in the bathroom, just avoiding my family. I caught my reflection in the mirror. And for the first time in a long, long time, I really looked at myself. My face was puffy, my eyes were dull and bloodshot, and there was a deep sadness there that I just couldn't ignore anymore. I didn't recognize the person staring back at me. In that one moment, the weight of all the lies, the broken promises, and the self-deception just came crashing down. My wife had said something to me earlier that week, not with anger, but with this tired resignation in her voice. She said, "I feel like I'm living with a ghost in disguise." And looking in that mirror, I saw exactly what she meant. I was a ghost for sure. I was there in body, but my spirit, my personality, my love, and it was all gone, drowned in alcohol. Section 5. The journey after quitting wasn't like flipping a switch. Those first few weeks in rehab were raw. My body and brain were screaming for the stuff they had become dependent on. But with the help of therapy, my support group, and a building relationship with Jesus, I got through it, one day at a time. And slowly, very slowly, the fog started to raise. Life didn't become perfect, but it became real. Instead of numbing my stress, I learned how to actually manage. I started exercising, not as a punishment, but because moving my body felt good and cleared my head. I started journaling, pouring all those messy, hard feelings onto a page instead of into a bottle. I learned about mindfulness and meditation, simple breathing techniques that could calm me down in a way alcohol never really could. These were my new coping mechanisms, healthy ones that built me up instead of tearing me down. The biggest change by far was in my personal relationships. I was available and interacted, something so missing before. I could actually listen to my wife, but the damage was done and we divorced. All the energy I used to spend hiding my addiction was now free to be invested in the people I loved. My health got better. The puffiness in my face went away. I was sleeping through the night, and my mind felt sharp for the first time in years. My journey started with that lie. Just one drink, things are fine. This was a lie that told me I could control it, that it was harmless, that it was helping me cope. The truth is, it was a destructive coping mechanism that was quietly taking my life apart piece by piece. Seeing the red flags, the want turning into a need, my work and relationships suffering, and all the secrecy and lies, that was my first step back to life. I'm not sharing my story as an all-knowing. I'm sharing it as someone who's walked this road. If any of this sounds familiar, if you're starting to question your own relationship with alcohol, I just want you to know you're not alone, and that change is absolutely possible. Realizing there's a problem is the first and most powerful step you can take. If you feel comfortable, share your own thoughts or experiences in the comments. Building a community where we can talk about this without shame is so critical. And most importantly, if you're struggling, please reach out for help. Talk to a friend, a family member, your doctor, or a support group. There is so much strength in being vulnerable, and I promise you there is a life full of clarity, connection, and real happiness waiting on the other side. Thanks for listening. God bless.